Have you ever received a clear instruction from God, from your conscience, from the deepest part of who you are, and deliberately ran in the opposite direction? Have you ever known exactly what you were supposed to do, and chosen instead to board a ship heading somewhere completely different? Not because you didn't hear, not because you didn't understand, but because something inside you said, I cannot do this. I will not do this. Anything but this. Have you ever run so far from where you were supposed to be, that you ended up in a darkness so complete, so suffocating, so utterly alone, that the only prayer left in you was a cry from the bottom of everything? That is the story of Jonah, a man swallowed by the consequences of his own running. Sitting alone in the belly of a whale in the middle of the ocean in complete darkness, with nothing left but the God he had been running from. And what God did in that darkness is the most powerful thing he has ever done for a person who thought they had gone too far to come back. Jonah was a prophet, a man who heard the voice of God clearly and had spoken it faithfully. He was not a stranger to God's presence. He was not someone unfamiliar with divine instruction. Then God gave him an assignment that stopped him cold. Go to Nineveh, that great city, and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me. Nineveh, the capital of Assyria, Israel's most feared and brutal enemy. A city so violent, so cruel, so utterly savage in its treatment of conquered peoples, that the very name made Israelites shudder. These were people who skinned their enemies alive, who built pyramids of human skulls outside conquered cities as warnings to others. These were the people God was sending Jonah to warn. And Jonah, instead of going east toward Nineveh, went down to Joppa, bought a ticket, boarded a ship, and sailed west, as far in the opposite direction as he could possibly go. The Bible says he was fleeing from the presence of the Lord. He was not just avoiding an assignment. He was running from God himself. And that run always leads to the same place. Down. The Bible uses that word repeatedly about Jonah. He went down to Joppa. He went down into the ship. He went down into the hold of the ship. He went down into the sea. He went down to the bottoms of the mountains. Running from God is always downward, every single time. God sent a violent storm. So powerful, so terrifying, that the experienced sailors on that ship were afraid for their lives. They threw cargo overboard trying to lighten the load. Every man cried out to his own God. The ship threatened to break apart, and Jonah was asleep in the hold. The captain found him, woke him up. How can you sleep? Get up and call on your God. Maybe he will take notice of us so that we will not perish. The sailors cast lots to find out who was responsible for the disaster, and the lot fell on Jonah. They turned to him. Who are you? Where do you come from? What have you done? And Jonah told them everything. I am a Hebrew. I worship the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land. And I am running from him. The sailors were terrified. What have you done? The sea was getting worse and worse. They asked him, what should we do to make the sea calm down for us? Jonah looked at them, and then said something that reveals the depth of the shame and isolation he was already drowning in, even before he hit the water. Pick me up and throw me into the sea, and it will become calm. I know that it is my fault that this great storm has come upon you. He was not just offering himself as a sacrifice for the sailors. He was agreeing with his own condemnation. He had internalized the shame of his running so completely that he was ready to be thrown overboard. Not rescued. Not forgiven. Thrown away. This is what shame does to a person. It does not just make you feel bad about what you did. It makes you feel that you deserve to be discarded. That you are the problem. That everyone around you would be better off without you in the picture. The sailors tried to row back to land. They could not. The sea grew wilder. Finally, they cried out to God, please do not hold us accountable for this man's life. Then they picked Jonah up and threw him into the raging sea. And the sea immediately grew calm. Jonah sank into the water. Down and down, into the cold and the dark and the silence. The waves crashed over his head. Seaweed wrapped around him. He sank to the very bottoms of the mountains beneath the sea. And then God appointed a great fish, and it swallowed Jonah whole. 3 days. 3 nights. In the belly of a fish. In complete darkness. In complete isolation. Surrounded by nothing but the consequences of his own running. I want you to sit in this place with Jonah for a moment. Because the belly of the fish is not just a geographical location. It is a psychological and spiritual state that millions of people are living in right now. It is the place you end up when the running finally stops, when there is nowhere left to go. When the ship has sailed and the storm has come and the sea has swallowed you and you are sitting in the darkness, completely alone, with nothing but your own thoughts and the weight of everything you have been running from. Maybe your belly at the fish is a relationship that collapsed because of choices you made. Maybe it is a career that imploded. Maybe it is an addiction that finally caught up with you. Maybe it is a secret that came to light. Maybe it is simply the accumulation of years of running from your purpose, your calling, the person God designed you to be, until one day you woke up in a darkness so complete you could not see any way out. Shame does this. It drives you into isolation. It convinces you that you have gone too far, that what you did is too much, that God, if he is even still there, could not possibly still want to use someone who ran as hard and as far and as deliberately as you did. But here is what happened in that darkness. Jonah prayed. Not when he was comfortable. Not when he was clean. Not when he had figured out how to fix everything he had broken. From inside the fish, from the bottom of the sea, from the deepest, darkest, most isolated place imaginable, Jonah opened his mouth and prayed. In my distress I called to the Lord and he answered me. From deep in the realm of the dead I called for help and you listened to my cry. You hurled me into the depths, into the very heart of the seas, and the currents swirled about me. All your waves and breakers swept over me. I said, I have been banished from your sight. Yet I will look again toward your holy temple. Yet, that word yet not when everything is fixed. Not when I deserve it not when I have earned my way back. Yet, in the middle of the fish, in the middle of the darkness, in the middle of the consequences, I will look toward you again. That yet is the most powerful word a person in isolation can speak, and the Bible records God's response to that prayer from the darkness. The Lord commanded the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto dry land. God did not leave him in the fish. He did not say, you earned this. Stay in there and think about what you did. He heard the prayer from the bottom of the sea. From inside the consequences, from the deepest isolation, and he brought Jonah back to dry land. Then, and this is the part that should completely undo every person watching this, God spoke to Jonah a second time. The exact same words as the first time. Go to Nineveh. Preach to it the message I give you. God gave him the assignment again. The same assignment. As if the running had not happened. As if the storm had not happened. As if the fish had not happened. Get up. Go. I still need you. I still chose you. I am still sending you. This time. Jonah went. Shame is the most isolating human experience that exists. It does not just make you want to hide from people. It makes you want to hide from God. It convinces you that your running has taken you somewhere so far, so dark, so deep, that even God cannot reach you there, that you have used up your chances, that the assignment has been given to someone else, that you missed your moment and there is no coming back. Jonah's story destroys every single one of those lies. Because God found Jonah at the bottom of the ocean. Inside a fish. In 3 days of complete darkness and isolation. And he still spoke. He still rescued. He still restored the assignment. If God can reach someone at the bottom of the sea, he can reach you in whatever darkness you are hiding in right now. But here is what Jonah had to do first. He had to stop running. He had to stop sinking. He had to open his mouth in the middle of the mess, in the middle of the consequences, in the middle of the darkness, and say, Yet I will look toward you. You do not have to be on dry land to pray. You do not have to have everything figured out. You do not have to be clean or fixed or recovered or ready. You can pray from inside the fish. You can call out from the bottom of the sea. And God, who hears everything, will hear that prayer. And he will speak your assignment to you again. Because your running did not cancel your calling. It just delayed it. Jonah ran from God, ended up at the bottom of the ocean, and God still brought him back and gave him the same assignment twice. That means there is no version of running that puts you beyond the reach of God's voice. No darkness deep enough. No isolation complete enough. No shame heavy enough. So here is my question for you today. What have you been running from? What assignment? What calling? What relationship? What version of yourself have you been deliberately sailing away from? And what would it look like today, right now, to stop running and say yet I will look toward you? Drop it in the comments. Because I believe the person reading your comment today needs to know they are not alone in that fish. And I believe God is about to speak your assignment to you again, the same one he gave you before the running started. Share this with someone hiding in their own darkness right now. Subscribe to Bible Study Hub for stories that go deep into the Word and deep into real human experience every single week. Jonah came out of that fish onto dry land, and he went to Nineveh, and the entire city turned to God. Your assignment is still waiting. God is still speaking. Come up for air.